Christians Who Drink Whiskey and Their Open-Minded Friends is brought to you by Funny&Amen. If you want to support this podcast and haven't seen any of our other content, head over to our page at patreon.com/funnyandAmen. For just $2 a month, you can watch our podcast a whole week early and see exclusive stand-up comedy that can't be seen anywhere else. For only $5 a month, you'll have access to the podcasts, the stand-up, and behind-the-scenes content, exclusive first looks at new comedy projects we're working on, and bonus, we're going to send you a t-shirt. Head to patreon.com/funnyandAmen to see all we have to offer. That's patreon.com/funnyandAmen. Here we are. Welcome back to Christians Who Drink Whiskey and Their Open-Minded Friend. I am still Kevin Hackenberg, and my friend Evamarie Swartout is here, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
It's the morning where we're at. I'm not sure what time it is where you're at. We were contemplating breaking out the red wine. Eve is not so much a whiskey person.
No.
And so we were going to, I was asking the question in my head before this podcast, what would Jesus do? Would he do red, white, or whiskey? But the real answer today is water.
Water. Yeah, a little under the weather. So.
Yeah, even under the weather, I am dehydrated. So starting the morning with red wine, we thought maybe not the ideal.
Yeah.
So we're going to just drink nature's best.
Yeah, there we go.
Or in this case, Philadelphia's water department's best.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining me.
Me too. Yeah, I'm happy to hear it.
I can feel the healing of dehydration going away, and we're drinking water.
Yeah.
So, a little about Eva. Eva, I met at church, and our church, City Life Church here in Philly, and you were introduced to me as a makeup artist.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, hey, I need a makeup artist. And we worked together on a few projects.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are. And tell them, I realized we drove somewhere. We drove to this billionaire's house in North Jersey. He owns like all these cars. And
yes.
Remember that job?
Yes.
And you were telling me that you sing, and you're releasing like a praise album, and then
are you talking about the racing?
Irish
yes.
racing,
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I do remember that. But tell you about the.
Well, what are you doing? What are you doing now? So we met. You were doing makeup, but since then you've dabbled in all kinds of other things.
Yeah,
and
I've spread out.
You spread out.
Just my nature, spread out, cover a lot of ground. So I still own the hair and makeup company. I actually just relaunched our brand back in August.
What's it called?
It's called Earth Tones Artistry. So the idea is that it's clean beauty, clean earth. So it's benefiting people because it's clean, and it's benefiting the people that produce the makeup, produce the hair products, and so we're brand conscious. We think about what brands we're taking in and hoping that they benefit more than just the client in that service time. So
cool.
Doing some product education, and that has gone really well. So we do mostly weddings, do some corporate stuff, urban, that kind of thing in the Philly area. But then now I've kind of spread out and started collaborating with music, which is super fun and pretty lighthearted. We love to create, so we love to make it like this big project, but at the end of the day, we're just happy to create. That's the fun of it.
Yeah.
So.
This is music stuff you're creating.
Yeah. So
because on that road trip, you were talking about launching and recording some of your own worship music.
Yeah, I have some of my own worship music out. I go underneath a name I've thought about changing slightly, but keeping the same idea. Mm-hmm. It's called Roving. Cool. And it's I think it's the idea that somebody else could release underneath my name, because it's just it's about being the roving heart and taking in different parts of the world. And I love culture, and so the sound will never be the same from song to song.
Yeah.
Like certain albums will have because I've collaborated with one person, they'll have a certain sound, but there's just no promises. Like what I might be in a totally new fad, which is completely me. It's like Eva being Eva, you know.
So you know, because my guests are not always Jesus freaks like myself. You're a Jesus freak, right?
Yeah, I'm a Jesus freak.
We'll talk about that later. But the worship music is of Jesus. Will all the music on your label be worship music, or just kind of just other music that you've the positive music?
You know, I think it's always influenced by music is influenced by your perspective when you're writing. Any artistic expression is that way. So, of course, it's always rooted in some foundation of a perspective that's rooted in Jesus, because that's who I am. But I think I'm open to releasing anything. So some of the songs that I've been working on recently are just kind of, I would call them honest songs. So it's that, you know. Do
you do any lying songs? Any dishonest songs?
You know, faker song, like you're a faker kind of thing. Like, I think it would be like blind faith is more the word that you want to use. So, but yeah, I try to. I guess they're more blunt.
Okay. Honest, blunt, honest.
Yeah, okay, I think because recently I've been just, you know, observing what we think Christians should look like, and I'm pretty determined to be everything that a Christian shouldn't look like unless Jesus says it's supposed to be that way. So
that's great. I think that, I mean, that's what I think is really powerful about our relationship. I think it's been, even for that first, I'm not sure if that was the first car ride or whatever. We've only had one car ride, maybe two. But we just hang out in the car all the time.
All the time.
But even that car ride up to that one job was very honest, you know? And so I like that, you know? I love that. And I think that's partly why I'm doing this show is, you know, when I started, you know, branching out into merging comedy and faith, you know, someone slid across this, like, here are the rules of, like, what you can and can't do in Christian cinema. And I was like, but these rules have nothing to do with what Jesus has taught me. And they're like, yeah, but here are the rules.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why? I don't feel like following those rules.
Yeah,
especially because I'm very much like you. I want to be honest. And I also want to I like the comedy thing. I want to prod the honesty out of the people.
Yeah, I think faith is relevant. Like Jesus is relevant. He is relevant all throughout the Bible, but we kind of just think about how he's relevant in a certain time period, and I think that he's relevant in who we are today. Like, I think Jesus loves comedy.
Yeah.
Jesus makes some very comical, like, he goes in and, like, the whole flipping the tables thing is, like, a super passionate moment, but it's almost a little comical. Like, he's ticked. Like, and why can't Jesus be relevant? Why does he have to be this? He became 100% human, so why can't he be all those things? So
it's very interesting. I was telling someone the other day that I often find these moments of hypocrisy, even in myself.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that, like, you know, here we are, like, thinking about drinking wine or this podcast drinking whiskey, and everyone's like, oh, you can't do that with Christians. And they're like, it's so interesting because I think Jesus was this person that existed in this time frame. You know, we believe he was person and God. But, and in that time frame, there was all this talk about wine and whatever, but then post-Prohibition America, this is something that, like, certain Christians were like, no, we can't do that, you know. And I think it's very interesting to me to say, like, all the rules that they kind of come up with to say, like, oh, the wine that Jesus had was grape juice. There's all these like kind of people trying to justify their beliefs, their rules, with, like, cultural appropriation or something like that. So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think everybody wants the rule book for how to live.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that because everybody's an individual, I think it looks a little different for some people. I know that there are some people that struggle, so that is a vice. So that's totally, you definitely shouldn't. But I think God calls us to a life of moderation.
Yeah.
So that we can indulge in Him.
Yeah.
So if things prevent you from being able to indulge in Him, I think that's where, so there are certain things, like certain people's vice is food.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're not going to eat?
I had a conversation with Meg this morning. I was like, can you please hide the peanut butter cookies from me? Hide them. Don't put a label on them that says no. It's a sin for you, Kevin. Like,
yeah, right. You need like a written reminder.
I might still break it. I might still be like, all right, I know, there are other sins I never sinned and I still partake sometimes. You know what? But I mean, I think that, so we're individuals and we have to like, my relationship with you is different from your relationship with the people you live with or your parents or whatever. And my relationship with God is different from your relationship with God. And I think that that needs to be celebrated.
Yeah.
That those intimate relationships need to be celebrated, and also understanding that this is not a vice for me. And if it is a vice for you, then I'm going to help you.
Right.
But I can't force you. Meg made these like amazing peanut butter cookies. They're great, people. They're so good. And every time she makes them, I'm like, she loves me like the girl in Leaving Las Vegas giving Nicolas Cage all that booze to die. I
don't even know if I know that movie.
Oh, it's so...
So now I have homework. Yeah, it's not enough that I get to be on the podcast. I have homework.
Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas. My interpretation of Leaving Las Vegas is you have this like this prostitute and this alcoholic, and throughout the movie they're trying to love each other by forcing each other out of their current lifestyles, which are detrimental to them.
Okay.
And at the end, Nicolas Cage doesn't want to be forced out of it. He wants to die, drink, and I think that like, and she kind of like lets him. She has to let go. She has to show him love by letting go.
Yeah.
And even though it's gonna kill him.
Does she leave the lifestyle? Is that the...
I can't remember. I think so.
Is it one of those...
I think so, that she kind of like is rescued in the film and he's not.
And he kind of like...
I don't remember. So if you type it here, we'll watch it together because now I obviously have homework too.
Yeah. I'm like, does she give him over to his vice and then she goes and like...
saves.
I love the image of it though.
It's great. It's
very
like,
poetic.
It's very poetic. Oh man, it's dark and poetic. Yeah.
I love dark.
Yeah.
I love dark stuff.
Tell me about your ink. I was looking at this one.
Yeah. I would consider myself. This is my I Spy. That's what I call it. So I just love to hide things.
Okay.
In it, it's getting there.
Oh, interesting.
So I never have a plan. So when I travel, I just collect.
Okay.
So, I got this one in Egypt, and
wow,
I just got this one in New Orleans.
So you get them traveling you get them on the road.
Yeah, it's always like a flip of a coin whether it's gonna go well or not. Because you're just trusting that whatever somebody represents, in their shop is.
I thought I turned this off. Shush. Good.
You think that whatever someone's representing in their shop is accurate.
Yeah.
You hope it's accurate to their talent. So I've just collected. So some of them are in Europe. And
wow. Where'd this one come from? It's hold the camera. The camera can see it. It's a lion.
Yeah.
You might get soft.
It's a little lion.
Just do focus.
His name's Lionel.
That's cool, Lionel.
Yeah. Lionel's
This is my first time trying to autofocus on camera, and it's not going well.
Well, with me.
Sorry, folks.
That's what. So yeah, I've just that one was in New York.
Nice, cool.
I was 18. My parents took me to the city, and I told them we were going to a shop to get my tattoo.
Oh.
But it was actually on we went to his house.
Oh wow.
But I just convinced them it was just like an apartment building that was turned into...
Your parents took you? Your parents took you to this?
So my parents are super supportive. Yeah, my parents.
Your parents took you to an apartment, not... Yeah.
Yeah, but I convinced them that it was just like... I said, he's not in like a formal setting. So it's an apartment building that's businesses.
Yeah.
That's not what that was.
They came with you and they were like, this is all lies.
My poor parents, so supportive of everything artistic and all the things that the spreading out that I've done in my life. And here I am dragging them into this super sketchy apartment complex in Brooklyn to get tattooed on somebody's couch with like dogs jumping everywhere. Like, and I'm getting a permanent piece of artwork and there are like pit bulls and like, it's just chaos, which is my life, which is just perfect. So my parents got to step in to the chaos for a second and they're like, this is how you live? This is ridiculous.
And this came out of it?
That's what came out of it.
That's awesome though.
Which I think it turned out really nice considering. So.
I can't talk right now. I'm podcasting. Phone ringing.
Popular guy.
Cool. So that's awesome. Tell me about. Let's talk about your traveling.
Yeah.
One of the last things I thought was really cool about the artist known as Evamarie is that you were given a gift. Is that right?
So I have a really good friend that works for American Airlines. And she is a flight attendant, so she can just give me travel benefits.
Yeah.
So she chose me, which was just like, I was super honored because the world is my oyster now.
Yeah.
That's an overwhelming feeling. We're leaving for Paris in 2 weeks. Like next week we're going to go, I don't even know. I think we're going to Mexico just to go hang out. But we'll decide Sunday and leave Monday. That's just how we've done it now. And I told her that the blessing is timely, that she's giving this to me. And because I've just had this huge itch in my heart for international cultural missions. I have this ability with all of this spreading out to be a chameleon. I can pretty much put myself in anybody's home. I live with a family of 5.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest kid.
Yeah.
Like I just chameleon into their space and like I can match their vibe, their lifestyle. That's just who I am. And so I wanted to go. I just saw a huge need in our church to just be more educated about what's going on over. Who are these people? Like, I know we support people, but who are they?
Yeah.
I want to know them. I want people to know them. I want to experience what they do. So partnering that desire with the gift that she gave me, I was in 10 countries last year.
Went, just describe for, you told me before, but describe for the audience. You basically went and pitched our pastor to do what?
So I was told to make a proposal, which if there's anything I'm not, it's a business person. I can do it when someone teaches me, but so I live with JT, like the Galindos, and she's great, brilliant, just understands business so well. So she was ready for me when I came to her, and I was like, show me how to propose. I don't know, like show me how to do that. Like, how does one begin?
Did you say that? Show me how to propose. She's like, to who?
To Brad. That's what. Like,
to
which
the
is
pastor
to our pastor. Yeah. So I'm proposing to city life, I guess, is the real thing, right? So which feels like a marriage. I love city life.
Yeah,
so.
Okay. Good marriage.
Good marriage. It's a very healthy marriage.
Some church marriages are not healthy.
Oh, we're so lucky. That's like a whole other conversation. But man, city life's just such a blessing. But so I created this proposal. It went well.
Good.
Smooth. I went to him and I was nervous, really nervous. I practiced, and that's a lot for me. If I'm practicing, like, I'm nervous, really nervous. Nice. So I practiced, and I came to him, and I was determined to be this assertive. I'm not an assertive person. I'm like a go with the flow. I was like, your church needs what I'm offering, and I was saying it, and I felt like one of those kids that's like. Mom, you don't understand when you're 5. Like, and you're like, there's nothing that you could say right now that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, Brad, you guys really need this. Like, the church needs this. And he's like, you're right. And I was like, wait, what? That's like, that worked? So he just...
Get a yes.
I did. I got a yes. And it was it was a yes to send me to 5 of our missionaries, that they would be my supporter and they would, reimburse me for all of the adventure that I got to go on to experience.
Except for travel, because the travel was already covered.
The travel was already covered.
Yeah.
You pay tax, so they covered the tax, but it's like, but it was just
to Asia.
It was right. It's $50 to London, like it's just ridiculous. So, but it was just this amazing.
So you went. So 5 places. Where were they? List them out.
So this is bizarre. So I traveled in a backpack because I was determined to travel minimally.
Yeah.
Like Jesus said, leave everything behind.
Yeah.
I had to bring a couple things, but I was trying to fit through the narrow gate. So I was like, I need to just bring minimum. So, I went from Poland. So the climate change was the hardest thing with just a backpack. So I went from Poland to Indonesia, and then I made a personal pit stop in India because
Where in India?
I was in the north in Delhi.
Delhi, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. That's crazy story anyway. That's like, I hired a car when I got there and I was like, take me to all the wonderful places that I can get to in 10 days. And lived with this random Indian guy for 10 days, which was just...
because we drove, so we went to Agra. Did you go to...
Yeah.
And Jaipur, maybe?
Yep. I did both of those and I did a couple other... I was in Pushka.
Okay.
And then I was in Ranthambore.
Nice,
so
wonderful.
2 other cities. But what made it so different is that I told him, I want to live like you live. And he was like, not completely like I live. Like, he very little English, so he's looking at me and he's like, hey, you don't want to live like I live.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't even know how to live like I live.
Yeah.
So I stayed in hostels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, just... if we make roadside pit stops, I know it'd be like me and 5 Indian men on tin cans because the women don't eat with foreigners or men because it's like there's a separation of class.
Yeah.
So they just would never do that. I'm not there long enough to develop a relationship with them, so kind of have to step into what's culturally normal. So here I am on tin cans with Indian men eating out of the same pan with our fingers, and there's no toilet paper or hand soap in India. So you're just like, dear Jesus, please.
Wow.
Protect me. I don't know what I'm eating, but I know it's vegetarian, so which is kind of a little bit... Wow. Meat is where things get funky to me, but I'm vegan, so maybe that's why I'm a little biased. But
wow, that's the culture. You're like, whoa.
Yes.
No toilet paper.
No, I mean, I carried around my own roll.
Okay, all right.
But at no point did I want anyone to think that they had to provide extra for me.
Yes.
So it was like, this is my way of living.
There's a how-to question
but
after.
You do what works for you. If it's your left hand, like, you go for the left hand and you do... I don't know how you do the sprayer. Like, if you haven't experienced that, it's a talent. I don't know how. But I think it's humbling also because... they really do want to just serve you in other cultures. Yeah. And hospitality is a requirement.
This is the appropriate time for me to tell this story. So we took my family to Cambodia, where my wife's aunt and uncle are missionaries, and we land there, and they take us to Angkor Wat, the big tourist, all the temple ruins, beautiful. They've filmed. Unreal. They filmed what's the Angelina Jolie movie, Tomb Raider there, and Indiana Jones. These are like the Indiana Jones like sets, like big vines growing down over ruins. Amazing.
Oh yeah.
And we're about to leave and get in our little van and go back to our night's hotel, but we have to go to the bathroom and we can't wait half an hour to get back to the hotel. So my aunt and uncle go in. They head into the bathroom. We're kind of getting the kids together, and we're parked next to these like porta potties. But in Cambodia, the porta potties are squatty potties. There's a hole in the bottom. They're elevated, and there's a hole in the bottom.
Totally baffles you the first time you see one.
Yeah, you're just like, where do I sit? Oh, I don't. I squat. And how do?
So close to the ground.
I've never aimed. Like, I've never had to aim my poop before. And so my daughter we're all sweating. And I'm like, dear God, please don't let her have to poop. Let her just have to pee. I'll like hold her because she has no squatting. I don't have it. I have worse squatting muscles. She has no squatting muscles. So like maybe I can just hold her, and next you know I'm holding her. She's getting slippery because of all the sweat, and she has to poop. And then they were like trying to like deal with all this, and there were tears involved, mine mostly, and we finally get out. Meg had taken Jake, and he just had to pee standing up, so it was a much easier situation. And she's got good leg muscles. So we got back in the van, and we're all just a sweaty, crying, teary mess from like the 90-degree Cambodian squatty potty, porta potty. And we were like, whoo, that's an experience, going on these squatty potties. And Meg's aunt and uncle look at us, and they're like, what? Like, the squatty potty, porta potties you brought us to. They're like, oh, right around the corner. No. Right around the corner is the new, tourist lounge with like air-conditioned bathrooms and toilets. Like, good to know for next time. So, Angkor Wat tip: just past the squatty potties to the left, you'll feel like you're in America for a second.
That is so terrible and hysterical at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, but you were there in India, the same kind of a
but I'm the type of person
get her done kind of attitude for pooping.
But to me, like people would say, you can either use the American toilet, which is what they call it, the American toilet, the Western toilet, the European toilet. They'll call it like different things depending on. They try to guess what you are always. Yeah. They're like, you're English, and I'm like, I'm flattered. I'm American. I should have said Canadian. That's right. That's what they want. That's what they tell you to say now overseas. Yeah. But I'm the type of person that I need to experience. Yeah. Because. So if they would have told me, you have an option, you can either use this or this, I'd be like, I'm going for the squatty potty, even though I have like no idea. And then I get in there and I'm totally confused, and I think that's just a part of my personality. Yeah, it's great. So, but you had asked me originally where I kind of, so I went from Poland, which was negative 15 degrees, to Indonesia, which was 95 degrees, to, I had some time in between where I would pop back to the U.S. to give, just like, because the flights are free, so I would just make my way around. Came back. I did, Turkey, Egypt, and Sweden.
So tell me about all the different ministries that, this is becoming like a City Life ministry commercial, but tell me about which some of them have different are some of them churches, or some of them different focuses, or what do they all do?
Definitely a mix. So Poland, they do kind of, I guess it's kind of like coaching, consulting. So they are in the car. So I just stepped into whatever these people were doing, and I would do whatever blessed them. You need me to teach, you need me to lead worship, you need me to cut your hair, teach you how to cut your family's hair so you can do it on your own. Yeah. Whatever you need. That's what I'm there for. Clean their house. It doesn't matter.
Cool. Just help them.
So, in this case, it was a lot of leading worship in Poland, which was, I was like, anytime. That's just whatever you need. Like, I'll lead worship in Polish. Like. So, they just travel from, like, church to church plant. So, they work with this organization called 700 Miest. And Miest is church, or towns, sorry, 700 towns. There are 700 towns in Poland that do not have an evangelical or contemporary church. So they travel and visit churches, and their goal is, I mean, this is verbatim what our missionary Earl said. He was saying, if I have to, for the rest of my life, I will die to see these churches planted. Wow. Because it's just, they're small towns. They're very isolated, very, it's cold. It's hard living in Poland. It's surprisingly hard. You forget that.
What's the typical, so, you mentioned the word evangelic, which sometimes, for some of the viewers might be like, bad word. Here in America, there's...
So the difference, so for the Polish church, you have every culture is going to have a different way. Like, just church in Indonesia is just church. It's just church, like your Western church. If you're white, you're Christian. Because to be Indonesian is to be Muslim. That's just, it's like that in a lot of places. To be Indian is to be Hindi, like, or Muslim or whatever.
Yeah.
So you experience that. So for Poland, they have the Catholic Church, and then they have the Protestant Church, and both are very unbiblical. That's just in our view.
They've switched over from like following Jesus to following tradition or something like that, or
yeah, they follow tradition, and I guess the evangelical church would say that they're living in the freedom of who Jesus is. That's the view of the evangelical church. That's how that translates in Poland.
Yeah.
If you just say the church, they're like, which one?
Yeah.
It's a European country, so it's like, oh, do you visit the church for history, or because they consider the modern people that are living there that are not living behind the times. Like, they're not farmers. They're working in the business world. Like, you know, they're way past the church. They think the church is old news. So when you come to them and you're like, I have this freedom and this thing I want to show you, they're like, I am living in freedom. Yeah. Like, modern world. Like, the internet is free. Like, you know, it's just, but,
yeah, it's free. I gotta pay Verizon like $40.
Yeah. Or they just go to Starbucks, right? That's, or whatever it is to get internet.
Kidding you.
But, they just see the world a little different, you know. So it depends on where you go. It's the same way, like in India, the evangelical church is. It doesn't matter. It's just church.
So just quickly, you know, Poland, you were working with a church planning organization. Indonesia, what were you doing there?
I was teaching, leading worship, and observing.
Cool. And Sweden was?
Sweden's church planting.
Cool. Egypt, right?
Yep. Egypt was working with. I did some just like helping. I just helped. I just supported them. I led some worship, but then I would like help them clean and like
nice.
organize and
nice.
you know.
Was there one more I missed?
Turkey.
Turkey. Wow.
Yeah, I was in Turkey and I did some community events. They were really interested that I was 23 and I had launched my business twice, and because you just don't do that there. That's young people don't. You don't go against the man.
Huh. Interesting.
Like. And the man is your boss, your fam. Like, you don't go against.
There's not a lot of independence in Turkey, like not a youth launching businesses.
I think there's a lot of. There is, but at the same time, it's you have to fit into like this very narrow cultural norm. So a lot of the people that I was talking with are immigrants to Turkey, so they're not Turkish. Therefore, they're seen as, if you're not Turkish, you're nobody. Kind of a little bit of a feel. So
working with immigrants in there, that's interesting.
Yeah, truly. Iraq, Iran, people from Oman, you know, just, I never knew I would meet somebody from Kazakhstan or whatever. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, so it's just, they were impressed by the daunting task of launching a business. So really interested in that kind of stuff.
So you mentioned, like, you know, some of the people of Poland specifically, and this applies to, you know, America too, but or modern people in general, like thinking that the church is past tense. Like for you, this is that part of the well, let's come back in a second. We were back. Patreon.com/Funny&Amen. You can show your support there and get access to exclusive content and other cool stuff. I'm here with Evamarie Swartout, and we're at least halfway through. And so the question I have, we were talking about in Poland, there's this, there's an older Protestant church, an older Catholic church, and people that are just like viewing the church as past tense. And that also, you know, is kind of here in the U.S., you know, as well. Or people now, if they they don't want to necessarily embrace church necessarily, but they may want to embrace spirituality or some other version of spirituality.
Yeah.
For you, what do you think of? I always start with this question because I come from a Christian background, typically hanging out with Christians or Catholics or something like that. But what do you think of Jesus? What do you think of Jesus, and how does that influence you and your position of church?
I knew that this question was coming because we've talked about the podcast.
I do prep you.
And that is such an overwhelming question because who is Jesus? He is everything that embodies a human and everything that embodies God. So how the heck do you begin to truly fathom who he is? But I think to me who Jesus is, right, which is what your question is, who is this guy? What do I think of him? Well, to say what I think of him, he's a part of my everyday all day. I mean, we're pals. We run everything by each other. And he's way better listener than I am. But I think Jesus is incredibly relatable, and I think we forget that. And I've just seen that spill out through my cultural experiences, the music, different types of music. I don't think Jesus wants us to be different than who he created us to be. You have this natural knack for humor. Jesus is relating to that, and he's going to do something through that in you. And I think that a lot of people believe that if I believe in Jesus, I have to give up everything that makes me, because that's the spirit of, religion, that stepping into Christianity means I have to say no to things and I have to miss out on things. And it's so not that. It's so much better. It's that makes it sound like this huge pill you have to swallow. But I think that really, truly Jesus is relatable. He's like, I get it. Like, you think all this stuff is good, but trust me, I know it's better, So saying yes to him might look like saying no to a lot of stuff, but it's saying yes to a lot more. I kind of was what I was thinking about. I really prayed about this a lot. I know that's that might be foreign too, but
it's a beautiful answer, because I think that a lot of people are, and it might be saying no to this, or it might be saying no to my peanut butter cookies, or it might be saying no to being in a relationship with another human being that is the wrong kind of relationship, But you're right. For me too, the yes is way more exciting than the no, if there is a no.
Yeah.
Or if there's a hey, just moderate that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up incredibly secular. I mean, we were creasters. I don't know if you know what a creaster is.
No, what is a creaster?
A Christmas Easter.
Oh, a creaster.
You're a creaster. It means you're a Christmas Easter goer, which I think a lot of people are creasters. Families going to church, so we go to church on Christmas and Easter, and it's a bore. And that was who we were. And my mom really liked the Prince of Egypt, and that's as close as I got to the gospel. My grandparent, one of my grandparents was like really into. I have a Roman Catholic on one side, and the other side was like really into like Joel Osteen. Like, he's a Southern Christian believing hillbilly boy. Like, he grew up on a reservation, but he loved the Lord. But he did Jesus his way. Like, you would have actually, Kevin, you would have loved him, because he was a 10-gallon hat kind of wearing, like, on a red scooter. Nice. Nothing about him made sense. And
I got a character for this film. Yeah,
he's an elaborate storyteller. Like, had the tinted sunglasses on the. He looks like he should drive a Harley, but he drove a moped. So it's like,
my kind of guy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and if he went into a candy shop, like, he would, you would think like he wants to go drink like beer, and he'd be like, I want the really big lollipop, and you're like. This is a 70-year-old man.
This is who?
My grandpa.
Your grandfather.
So my mom's dad. So he was my pappy. Right?
Yeah.
So pappy was a good old time.
I had pappy too.
Pappies are fun.
Pappies? My kids have grandpies and grandpas now.
Nah. But my dad is a pappy as well.
Yeah.
Like, my grandpa passed away, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But, my dad somehow has become the reincarnate of him.
Nice.
He's my mom literally married her father. They both have the long gray beard, long ponytail hair.
Yeah.
So, but he was, he loved Jesus, but it was effing Moses or whatever. He did it his way, and he was super passionate.
Wait, Moses was a curse word? Effing Moses was
No, but he would effing Moses parted the Red Sea. It was, he was super pumped about it.
He's telling a Bible story. He dropped the F-bomb.
Yeah, he was stoked that Moses parted the Red Sea. Yeah. So his only way to...
There's no more powerful word than the F word. It's a very powerful... Well, there are some other words, but the power... That's Jesus, for instance.
Some people say love, and you say...
Well, it's a jarring word, and he wanted to get the point across.
Yeah, but I grew up with that, and I don't think I think it shaped me, for sure, but I didn't really know how.
Yeah. So
I kind of entered into my, I turned 18, and I had a super controlling boyfriend before, and now I'm a free lady, and I live 14 hours away from my parents in Nashville, Tennessee, going to school, and I get to make my own decisions, and freedom looked like saying yes to everything and anything, and Jesus was not, he wasn't even in the rear view. He was so, but he was, I think he was along the path. He was ahead of me. So I was just going forward, and, I ended up in a worship service, and I got rocked. I got, rocked with, I wouldn't even say, anything crazy happened, because I think that a lot of people have this perspective that you're, some people have this perspective of, the Pentecostal church, rolling on the floor. I was not rolling on the floor. I was in awe just of the beauty of people just giving everything to them, to God. The music, the honesty of the music, how much, we need him. And I actually, the freedom that I had sought, I had actually seen in that moment, and in none of the things that I thought, saying yes to the world would have given, I was always unsatisfied. I wake up and I'm why am I not that just means that we should go out and party again, and we knew how to party. We loved a good time, and all my hippie spiritual friends, we were Mama Earth people, but really, truly, I think freedom comes only through Jesus, and you don't really know what that looks like until you walk down the path, and he is in, you literally will not walk any further until you get face to face with him, and you're nose to nose, and it's just a beautiful picture of, he's I'll walk with you, I know you're gonna trip and fall, because I know the path but you don't, right? So, but yeah, he's incredibly relatable, because I think that Jesus also didn't come into my life and say he definitely knew I was a mess. But I knew I was a mess, so he wasn't telling me anything I didn't know. But I think that he also he came through, and he was just I know you've got stuff, but I'm not even worried about the stuff. Just love me. Just love me, and we will deal with all of the things to come. I will teach you moderation. I will teach you patience, but for now, just relax. And I'm not a relaxer, so I'm so now God and I just have this really beautiful balance of, I bring one thing to him at a time. We don't laundry list. We don't, because I want to knock it all out. I hate process.
Yeah.
And I think we're just chugging along. So my first 2 years was really pretty stagnant. People be like, yeah, she loves Jesus. She loves a lot of other things too. Because I just wanted to add Jesus to the pocket of spirituality that I collected just from, everything and all is the best. I think that the solidarity of just having him has been just the most beautiful revelation,
That's cool.
So it was really cool. So he still pokes on stuff, and he's like, that is not the way I taught you, but you keep doing that. But when you're ready, I'm here. And I think, for a long time, I didn't drink, because I was good Christians don't drink. We don't do that. And then I was I don't struggle with that. That's not, I love a little glass of wine. I love, And he's like, but what if you just lived in moderation? How challenging would that be for you? And I was like, it would be so challenging. Wow, how powerful to be able to say I live moderately, because nothing about my person. I'm wearing a bright orange beanie. Like, nothing about my personality is moderate.
Yeah.
But I think making decisions to live moderately so that I can indulge in him has just been so crazy. He's
awesome.
completely changed who I am. So,
wow,
which sounds so cliche, but it is. It's true. He's like, and he's come alongside me. He hasn't asked me to like change who I am or not be weird or, you know, be normal.
Good.
Yeah.
I think he's asking me to be more weird.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up. And it's been so awesome hanging out and talking with you.
Yeah, for sure. This has been great.
What's the next? What can people expect to, see next from you? Is there next?
So there's definitely, just because I'm not a mama earther anymore, it doesn't mean I'm pretty passionate about sustainability, all that stuff. So I've been really thinking about that. Just encouraging people, teaching people, music, probably. I've been working on stuff, and who knows what that'll look like. I don't know. It changes every day what I want to do with it, but I think if anything, it's just there's stuff to come. I know that sounds, but
is your friend still traveling with you? The one that gave you the
Yeah, now we pretty much predominantly. There was a season where I traveled some by my own, but
shush. Cool.
But now we predominantly travel together. So we'll do some. I think we're doing Mexico, London, Paris in the next 2 weeks, which is so
terrible.
random.
If he or she needs another person.
I know that's always the follow up. They're like, does
my
your
family
friend want more
jealous.
friends? That's what. Yeah. So I think that actually for right now the next step is just I'm listening and I'm waiting for him to give me the next step. There's a lot of options. He's just kind of pointing me that way.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. This is Christians Drink Whiskey, They're Open-Minded Friends. I'm Kevin Hagberg. This has been amazing hanging out with Evamarie Swartout.
Yeah.
And
awesome.